Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm Ollie Henman. I'm the Global Coordinator of Action for Sustainable Development. We work on advocacy and engagement on the SDGs around the world. I'm really happy to be facilitating a special climate edition of the Turning Point Dialogue series. Today, we're turning it around for climate action in the African continent. Every day we see in the headlines stories of extreme weather events, droughts and fires, followed by torrential rain and flooding. And we know world leaders will be meeting in just a few weeks' time to discuss practical action that can be taken to tackle climate change and reduce CO2 at the upcoming COP26 in Glasgow. This is the last best chance to set the world on a path to keeping below 1.5 degrees of global warming. But people are not waiting around only for governments to act. Increasing numbers of local activists are taking action and working with their own communities to bring about change. At Action for Sustainable Development, we work to elevate the voices of many of these community initiatives, and we're really excited to be launching a new online space shortly, which will hear the voices of community activists directly, to be called Zovu. So joining me here today to share her insights into how and why we must fight for a transformative change to turn it around for climate action across the African continent is Esther Maina, who's joining us from the Kenyan Youth Biodiversity Network. Esther is a local campaigner and climate advocate who's worked on awareness raising with many youth groups in Kenya. Welcome, Esther.
Thank you so much, Ollie, for having me.
Great. So we're here today to talk about the power and opportunity and the necessity of this moment to act as a turning point for people and planet. Esther, I know that you're working with young people in Kenya on awareness raising and community initiatives. Could you talk us through the current reality for the climate fight where you are? What do you see as the biggest and most pressing challenges?
All right, thank you so much for this. And one of the issues that I can see, and residing from Nakuru town, which is also within the Lake Nakuru Basin, is the fact that we have an ever-increasing human population around this region. We are headed to becoming a metropolitan because this city recently acquired our town recently acquired a city status. And what can be seen to accompany these things is that we're having increased human demands as well as human needs that have compelled people to settle along this basin, as well as make sure that they are practicing agriculture and also developing other economic activities, and also this is also accompanied by things like industrialization. And what we have seen with this is that there has also been issues of increased encroachment into fragile ecosystems, such as the Mau forest, which is also the major catchment that feeds into the tributaries of Lake Nakuru. And what happens, there's also cases of deforestation, where people are cutting down trees to sell timber as well as burn charcoal to sell, to provide them as a source of income and also a source of livelihood. This also leads to the clearing of this forest to create room for more agricultural production as well as settlements. And the other thing is also we also having people cutting down trees to make sure that they provide themselves with firewood, because remember these people are low-income communities, and there's not so much development along these areas, and the main source of heating and cooking that they can rely on is firewood. And therefore with increased watershed land conversion, there is a reduced vegetation that exposes the soil to agents of erosion such as water, and with the coupled by the increased and unusual heavy rains that have characterized this region over the recent past, is that this soil is carried into the lake through the river, and leading to siltation, and then this causes rising water levels, which then causes flooding to the adjacent areas. And this is when
Thank you so much, Esther. I'm sorry that we don't have a huge amount of time for this dialogue, but I think what you've really highlighted there is the interconnected challenges of social and climate justice and the need to provide for a livelihood that is sustainable for all of our communities. So what do you see as your vision for climate justice? How could this be strengthened and realized through the COP process? What do we need to do together to achieve that change?
My vision for climate justice is one that is founded on the principles of justice, equity, and good governance. One that ensures that we envision a transformation that fulfills the needs of various people, and these include young people, indigenous, and local communities. Treat them with dignity and ensure that we take them as equal stakeholders when it comes to fighting this climate crisis, and also geared towards ensuring that we conserve as well as protect our natural resources, because these are the things that we depend on. Above all, it is one that will ensure that these principles ensure that states don't just raise ambitious targets at the COP, but also ensure that they embrace immediate action towards ensuring that we realize the goals of climate change abatement agenda. The global clarion call is to unite behind the science, and I view this to action not just as a word, but as something that is accompanied by action, because this resonates with something that has shaped our work as the Kenyan Youth Biodiversity Network, a campaign dubbed Same is Lame. And this sameness is what we want to denounce, because we have experienced same injustices, same violation of rights against indigenous and local communities, same deforestation, same pollution, same damages, same promises, and same results. We want to denounce the sameness and embrace a paradigm shift towards ensuring that we realize a transformative change.
Excellent points, Esther. And that point around uniting behind the science that we're hearing loud and clear from young people all around the world. Thank you so much. So when people are watching from home, there might be a number of individuals here who may not know what action they can take to support the transformation that you're describing. So what would be your call to action for anyone out there who wants to play their own part to make this vision a reality? What can we all do? What can other individuals do, Esther?
Yes, when we sometimes look at this thing, we feel so small because it is a multifaceted crisis. It is one that is around the COVID-19 pandemic. It is also around biodiversity crisis and also climate change. But the little things we do at the local level are the things that are then build up towards global. And what I would wish to let people understand is that climate change is a complex environmental issue that requires expertise from various professionals and various capacities. And this is why we shouldn't feel alone. When you plant that tree, when you carpool, when you ensure that you advise your parents to practice agroforestry, these are the things that ensure that we accelerate action towards change, and therefore what we should do, what is required is that we should look at what aligns with the Sustainable Development Goals to ensure that we flex our abilities and also master our skills to ensure that we effectively address climate change.
Thank you, Esther. Thank you so much for highlighting that every small action can add together to create this big transformation that we're looking for. And thank you for all your inspiring words. We now want to understand what actually inspires you. Could you maybe talk us through a person or a project or a book or even a piece of music or art that inspired you to take climate action?
Thank you so much. And whenever I share about this, I feel so emotional because it is an incident that has struck with me up to date. When I was young, I was brought up in the village around the Mount Kenya region, and I was intrigued by the world around me. I could always get excited when I could accompany my parents to the forest to go collect water and also graze livestock. It was during one of these incidences that I was with my dad when we witnessed an an event where an elephant had been killed and the tusk ripped off. And then people were just busy chopping off pieces of meat from this scene. And this insensitive party did not last long until the wildlife rangers arrived at the scene, and then people just flew away. And this got me to ask my dad a lot of questions. But this is also something that got me to understand these things at a tender age, that poaching, trading in wildlife products, as well as consumption of game meat, are things that are illegal. And they are those things that compelled me, or even motivated me, to select geography as one of my most preferred subjects in high school, and further pursue environmental science in the university. And these are the things that I regard as the best stance I took in my life, because I can now relate my childhood experiences with what I have learned, and also connect to the reality that is happening out there in the world, and also have a better grasp of sustainability, because I understand we not only have to protect our species, our wildlife, but also ensure that we conserve these ecosystems, the oceans, the forests, the rivers, that also provide them with habitat, the necessities that they need for survival, as also ensure that we continue harmoniously coexisting with them. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Esther, and thank you for highlighting that personal journey and the great steps that you've taken within your own community. It's a real inspiration to so many people around the world. Thank you again as we mobilize ahead of the COP26, helping us to think of ways that we can all turn it around for people and planet together. For those who are watching, please do join the action from wherever you are and register. Feel free to register what you yourselves are doing at the website actforsdgs.org, and hope to see you again soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Ollie. Thank you so much too.